What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Creative Producer. I'm Rafael, and I'm joined with Dan.
Yeah, no, excited to get back. It's, I don't know, a long time. Yeah, we're late. We're way late. I mean, we wanted to, yeah, we're late. It's fine. The whole thing is like, it's just so hard sometimes to get content when you're making content for other people.
Yeah, I think we've been trying to shoot this for months. What's this? Wait, was it supposed to be?
It was supposed to be last year.
I was gonna say, was it supposed to be at the end of the year? Kind of recap.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, we're not gonna do that. New setup, obviously.
Yeah, every episode we're gonna change the setup. Next one, I don't know what it's gonna be, but somehow we're gonna change it.
This is the reality of what we do when we have conversations with each other. It's kind of like just back and forth like this.
Yeah,
and
we're working. We just rotate and
yeah, definitely been an interesting couple months. A lot of productions happening. A lot of unexpected projects happened. You know, December's normally Q4 normally slows down around October, but then this year it was odd. Instead of slowing down, it ramped up. Yeah. So it went from being steady to being uncomfortably busy to staying uncomfortably busy until the end of December. Yeah. And then January basically was wrapping up December projects, and then it was busy but not busy, if that makes sense. Kind of like a void of some things were getting done and some things were getting paid, other things were getting started. It just seemed like January took a really long time to get going.
Yeah, I remember usually you peak in October and then it starts coming down from there, but it was just nonstop until we technically were on vacation just for a week to Christmas and all that.
Yeah. But it was all good. I mean, it was funny how it works because corporate, it's they work until 3 days before. So Christmas was it a Monday this year?
I think so.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it was on a Monday. So essentially it was everyone wanted to get their things done before the end of the year. A lot of industries, especially a lot of industries that work in trade shows. I didn't know this, but trade shows are really big in Q1, early Q1. So a lot of those clients hit us up for media assets. We also onboarded a new account in end of November, and then onboarded the account. And they kind of had to get acclimated to workflow, then kind of created a project, started new edits. And then it kind of just it was really hard because onboarding an account when you're a smaller business, it's kind of it takes time. And it's the thing is, people don't realize is I think one of the differences with DV is the fact that most of our clients don't leave after they order one. They're typically there's a long retention rate. And I think there's a pro and con to both. But the bottom line is when you work with larger corporate clients, onboarding is something you really have to kind of think about, because it's do I want to do onboarding in January and take a whole month in January to onboard, or do I want to try to get it all on, get onboarded, be a vendor, be acclimated to the workflow to where next year I can really just come in and crush it, just start working with the client, have a relationship, we already figure something out from the past, and then just already in the payment system. So that was kind of the goal. So it was we onboarded this larger retail client, and it took several weeks to get started. And I'm really glad we did, because we got through the first round of videos and it was a really good success, compatible working relationship. They already placed another order. So instead of that whole process starting now, we're already acclimated. So we're kind of just in the system. So while it was stressful, I think it really paid off. Yeah. And that's an example of just really assessing the amount of time a client's going to take to become a client, and just understand, for us at least, it's I'd rather have long-term relationships that repeat business, that order over and over again. It could just be quarterly, it could be annually, but regardless, it's it just, I don't know, to me that's very valuable. So that was really why I think that month was so stressful, because we were onboarding a new account and then we shot a really awesome commercial.
Yeah.
Personally, one of my favorites. I'm definitely becoming a sucker for kid content, kid focused storylines, at least with ads. I really like the focusing on the child's perspective. I really like working with kids on set. I think it's I don't know, I've like really enjoyed that aspect, and this ad was really fun for me. I thought the story was really cute and fun, and we had a really, really talented actress. I think she's 11. Her name was Ava, and she was just like so talented. And it was like one of the first times, at least for us, that we had hired like, um, I would say like a higher tier talent. And with casting, like Britt, who does all of our casting, like she had a larger budget for the lead role. And I mean, it was like night and day.
Yeah.
So that
Even
was
the
really
client
cool.
noticed a difference and said they were telling you, like, I can tell the difference of, like, stepping it up a little bit and putting more of the budget where it's like talent.
Yeah, it was a big expense to like up front to discuss like, well, why would we pay this amount more? But I was like, this ad is not going to work without the right actress or the right talent. And when it's like dialogue delivery, you really need to have a different caliper. And sometimes you can luck out like and you find a rising star, but in reality it's like there's definitely tiers of talent, just like with filmmaking. Like you pay $500 for a video. Well, hey, you pay $500 for a video from us, you're going to get a great video. You pay $500 for a video from someone who's never done video, it might be a little different story. You pay $500 to someone who um, doesn't have the same experience level, whatever. It's just like there's just so many variables, and then maybe you find someone who's willing to go all in and just do it as a passion project. But in reality, it's like the talent level when you have a higher rate, it just like it was a huge change. And on set, it was really nice for me because like I really liked working with her. She took direction really well, and there was a lot of like continuity consistencies. She like knew how to like do the same thing over and over again, and I think that was a big thing for me.
Yeah, and that's a good point because we've had not issues, but we've like there's been actors that we've hired that they're good, but like when we want them to do the same take over and over, they kind of like
Change.
they change even as subtly, and at times we don't even like catch it until we're in the editing room, and it's like it helps when an actor knows how to like keep consistency throughout the whole
Yeah.
scene.
No, definitely. I think it goes a really long way. I think it shows a certain level of professionalism and experience on set because it's interesting because like when you're on set, everything just seems like fun and right when the take is done, like, and you really like it. But like there's sometimes where I'm like sure that that's the take, and then when we come into the edit, I'm like, there was this wrong or that wrong, and we don't use the take that we thought was the best because it's just like there's two different perspectives when you're in the edit suite. There's no one else around to influence your decision. And no matter what, energy on set, energy on your crew definitely can influence like whether or not something was good. And at least from our perspective. And there's been many times where I've been like, man, this is the shot. And then there's like a a minor issue, but from a brand perspective is a major issue that like completely takes it from being usable.
Yeah.
Um, which I think one of the things I wanted to talk about today was some of the mistakes we made during the last shoot. And, reality is not every shoot goes as planned.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of like what makes production what it is because you have to be willing and able to adapt to the problems at hand. And, as much as I want to say I'm a great producer, I think no matter how great of a producer you are, you have to be aware that things are going to go wrong. And I think for us, when we get into the creative, it's very frustrating when things don't go as planned, or we don't think, why would that be a problem? But it always happens. And the first project I want to go into is the ad for Find a Neighborhood. And everything was going very well. Single day location, 10-hour shoot, decent sized crew, not major, not huge, but good enough. Very, very efficient project. We get them in the car for the final scenes, which is really one of the most important scenes of the film. And logistically, in my brain, I was like, look, I was like going back and forth with you about, I don't want to film them in the car driving. My insurance policy is not going to cover that, especially with a minor in the car. Like, we were talking about doing it in post. We were talking about, I mean, we were just trying so many different ways to figure out how to do this shot and not have to have them drive. We even did tests in the house. And we kind of figured it out. We had, our DP, Justin, had some suggestions that we definitely like absorbed and took into play into our edit in our heads and our animatics. But there was still like some uncertainties, but we did the test, we did the video test, and it ended up working to a degree. And so it was really good because the client wasn't quite sure how we were going to make it work either because we weren't driving. But we had this great setup, and Justin had this like really neat like setup to imply like motion by having tree reflections, and like it looked great. We're shooting, we forget to put the seatbelts on, so no one has seatbelts on. It was really really annoying, and it was very frustrating because the shots looked great, but there was no way we could reshoot the shots because we were losing sun. So we had multiple takes for 2 hours outside with people driving with no seatbelts. And by the time we figured it out, we had already moved over to the close-up shot of a young girl, and it was just like, we're doomed. But that was that was pretty bad.
Yeah, I think we were on a crunch time, and we're trying to figure out either to do it in post, and just a chance it might not look good, or it might, or have to reshoot that whole sequence again. But I think we were like,
we couldn't.
We had like 10 minutes.
Yeah, we couldn't reshoot it. It was more about the lighting. We couldn't reshoot the sequence because we had already it was like dark outside. Sunset was already starting. So it was December 12th, I think. So sunset was like 5:50. So it was basically dark at 6. So yeah, I was like really, really frustrated, but we had time to do the young girl's shot again with the seatbelt on, and she had a dialogue, like she had lines then. So we got that with the seatbelt as well as without, and then that's when we had to fix it in post.
So we have to fix it in post, which, I mean, it's like, it's technically a taboo phrase, but I feel like we've kind of implemented into our workflow, or kind of expected to a certain degree in our workflow. And I don't know how it is with like other productions at the same level or higher level, but we do kind of work with like the plan of like, we might have to do this in post, we might have not. And we always talk about it in pre, like if we did have to do this, if we had to do a green screen, you think we can do it in like an efficient time? And then we talk about it and figure out the most efficient way of doing it if it comes to it. So I think it's like, sure, maybe it's not everybody thinks it's great to fix it in post, but I think we plan ahead enough, or like we talk about it with enough pretty early on in the process, that I think it's just become part of our workflow.
Yeah, but and that's right, and we do that for sure. But so like that wasn't a planned shot.
No, yeah, I guess I'm talking in general. That was one of the few that like it just.
Well, that was like a terrible situation.
That was just a straight up like, okay, well, we gotta fix it in post, like kind of.
I don't even know how we were gonna fix that. I was like so fucking devastated when I heard that. The client was on site, so I obviously kept my composure, but I was like so mad at myself, and it was just like, dude, like if we can't fix this is. And that's a terrible feeling. That's a bad feeling to have, and it's a hard feeling to hide, for me at least.
No, there's definitely those cases like that like there's no other way to fix it other than in post. And meanwhile, obviously, you're still trying to figure out with the crew if there's anything we can do. But I'm on the side, like in my head, just editing, like so I would do it this way, and I think it will work. And then I would come to you and like, okay, I think we can do it. And I just gotta like try a couple things, and it worked out at the end.
Yeah, it worked out really well. Yeah, you crushed that. I mean, I think that was like, so what I had to do with that is like, I had a post-production budget for you to primarily edit this entire ad, especially just because of how that was just how I was planning to do it. You were just going to edit it. And then what we did is like, we kind of like, instead of that, we kind of like co-edited the story. You got it together. Then I spent like a day like adding Foley. I did some minor like ADR of like just some sounds from talent and whatnot, and like yeah, and got it to a really good place. And then that 8 hours or whatever I spent on the ad, I was able to give back to you to focus on post of VFX. And the VFX, you know, were obviously not planned, but they took a little more time. I think it took like a day. I think you sent me you kind of like a proposed, like, this is what I think we can do. And then I watched it and I was like very pleased with it. And I think I had like one minor note of like one thing needing a slight angle adjustment. But the bottom line is like, you figured it out. And that was huge for me because I was like, it was going to ruin it. And what's funny is like, it was done. It's such a minor thing that nobody had, like, it's not like anyone really would notice it unless you really watch the ad again. So the fact that we fixed it, no one's mentioned it once. And it's like almost like now that I'm like so proud of the fact that it was fixed that I have to like I'll send it to people. Like I just had the lead actress's mother reach out and I sent her the cut and she was so happy. And I like was like, did you notice the seatbelts? And she's like, oh my God, I totally forgot they didn't have seatbelts. Now they do. That's amazing. How did you
I
even
didn't know that?
Yeah, no one's noticed. I've had to address it, and that's because it's such a minor thing. And I think that's another thing to fixate on, and we've talked about this in other episodes. It's like sometimes we focus and fixate on things that aren't necessarily going to be remotely relevant. Now, in this situation, I knew though it would be a problem with legal. I don't think the ad would have gotten passed by legal on the client side if we didn't have that resolved. So it would have been an issue. It just is not, it's not safe. It's not how you drive. So, you know, it was really cool. And that was a really great save. But
I'm happy it worked out. Like it's like, you know, it's simple. You're just adding seatbelts to each person, but like the idea is to like make it like believable that the color matches and the stretching and the wrap around the person, like make sure that it all matches enough. And it was a quick shot and like kind of they just kind of subtly laugh at each other. So I just had to track on top of like a piece of clothing, just the shake of the laugh, and then that looked pretty well. But like if there was any other more drastic movements, it would have definitely been harder. So I think we got lucky at that part.
Yeah, we did have a static shot, I think was huge. I mean, that was a big thing. And it's funny because like that was a shoot we were really trying hard to not do VFX on. And when you might ask yourself, like, why would you not want to do VFX? Well, to be honest, VFX are expensive, even though like, you know, you're in-house. So it's a rare commodity that I love. I don't want to rely on fixing it in post. I don't want to spend 10 hours adding a seatbelt to a shot that I could have literally just had fixed. So while you have the resources, you really don't want to do it unless you have to. And you know, you've always been like very like great about like, you know, we can, but you always push to not do it too, because fixing it in post is it's expensive. It has a lot of different variables to factor in. We've done ads that have strictly VFX focused shots or portions that require VFX. And, you know, sometimes I think it can save money to a degree, but I don't think it's necessarily like the saving grace of like, it's just easier because it requires a lot more planning before to implement it properly. And then with budgeting VFX, it's really hard because basically what I've learned is like the more budget we have in pre to properly test, assess, and analyze how to implement the effect, the better the outcome is going to be. And the less testing we do, the more challenging it can become and the more expensive it can become in post.
Yeah. And I like that way you say, like, it's kind of like, I guess, a little bit of a commodity that we can fix a lot of things in post, but we try to find a balance of like when to actually use it. Because in the end, we prefer to just obviously try to do as much as we can in camera. But there are times that we maybe something happens on set or on the location that it wasn't planned for, and now we just have to pivot. And the only way to get it done or get it done in time is to do it, most of it in post, like the shoot we did recently.
Yep. In time or in budget.
Or in budget as well.
So like the property reach ad we did, same client that we were just discussing the last video we did, this is another ad we did for that same parent company. They have another brand. That ad, we had to de-age. We had to age a home and then make a home look run down, and then we had to revert to renovated and new. So obviously, with the budget we had, we weren't going to be able to do that. So that was a purely VFX. It was
And
3D.
it would have taken so much time to just do it in real life.
I don't even know how we would have done it. I don't think we would have. I think we would have had to. What I would have done in that situation, I would have had to find a location. I would have had a location scout find another house that was run down and like somewhat mimicked it, but it wouldn't have been. It still wouldn't have been the same.
If it, like, isn't there a show called House Flippers? Like, how long does it take for them to like flip a house?
Yeah,
Like weeks, months.
I think that ad was I think that was an ad that I like didn't fully. I pitched that ad, and I think I shouldn't have pitched it. To be honest, I'm just being real.
Sometimes it happens.
Like, I don't think I should have pitched that, and it was fine. Like, we got it done, it worked, but like I don't think I realized how hard that. I'm learning too. Just how far, like, I know where the line is of how far I can push, and I think that was like pretty hard.
And I mean, it also depends on the budget. Like, I can be like, yeah, we can do it. It's gonna take me like 30 hours. Do we have the budget for that?
And I'm not, yeah, and 100%. And that's like, it's not you're just being real with me, but like sometimes I'm like, I don't have that. So it's I've had to learn a lot, because so it's interesting how we work, because it's like, well, with post supervising, you don't necessarily always know. Yeah. And like we're both learning. I think we're getting better at it though.
Oh, 100% from when we started. But yeah, I think 95% of it is like estimations, and I'm like, okay, I think it's gonna take this long. I don't 100% know. A lot of times it takes less than that, which is great. But other times, there's been a few times that it takes longer than the time we say. It's hard, because same with editing, even more with VFX, it's just a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this is how I would do it. I say that, and then once I try it doesn't look as good. So
wait, you haven't added seatbelts to someone's shot on your reel before?
It's the first one.
Yeah.
It's like, this is how things is going to work. And a lot of the times that I do it, I try it doesn't look that good. So now I got to figure out a different way and like keep adjusting until I think it looks good.
Yeah. And then what I try to do now is like, I try to assess like, okay, this is the effect. I've invested time with you to do some testing. And then I that's a mistake I used to not make, is I used to not budget for pre-production and testing. So now I have a larger pre-production rate for your involvement, and then that hopefully allows me to understand how much I need to plan to budget for the actual shot. And then hopefully, which has been helpful, when we do the planning, you're able to say this, and this, and then also we consider different variables. Because we've had several shoots where, like, I'll take it back to an ad we did for this mortgage company many years ago, and like you did a test of the effect, and it worked really well. And then we completely changed the variables of the environment that the test was implemented in, and the test didn't work as well. And that wasn't a fault on you. That was just a reality of testing and how the tests need to be the same. The variables need to not change.
Yeah, because I think in the test, like the subject and the green screen was in the same space as we got the clean plate, but for the actual shoe, since it was technically a dog, the green screen was still. I reshot it still in my place, and then we shot at the clean plate on location, and just like the lighting didn't match as well.
Yeah, and so when a visual effect doesn't work, and it's like a heavy aspect of the project, it's pretty hard to not.
Yeah, and it's a rule of thumb to like try to shoot even the green screen in the location just so you can get the lighting match. But with dogs, it's a little harder to like. For one shot, just have a dog, and then okay, what do we do with the dog now?
Yeah, I'm also like, I think I'm like, if it's a project like I'm involved in, I feel like I'm like hypersensitive to it, and then I just like shit on it, and I make you feel
that's
bad.
another thing. Like nine times out of 10, I feel like we like hyperfixate on the effect, or I do a little more at times than you.
Yeah.
And then when we send it over, they're like, "Oh yeah, this looks great."
It's fine. Yeah.
But like, there's obviously a few times they're like, "Can we check this? It still looks a little off." But like most of the time, we just are fixating. Especially me, like I would I could spend like 10 extra hours just tweaking until I'm
Oh, I
as close as
know.
I can happy with it, but I'm never gonna be 100% happy with it, and that's just part of it.
So yeah, no, I mean, I think once again, it's like one of those situations. It's a lot of factors, but it's nice to be able to do it. And if you can't figure out a way to fix your project and there's a problem, honestly, reach out to us. And that's something we did. I'm gonna go ahead and plug this because that was really cool. We made this. We started making service reels, and a service reel essentially is it's not like a demo reel where you just show cool shots. A service reel to me is like this is a service that we offer in house that can really catapult your video or your business needs or your business marketing needs. And I think you did a really good job with it. I kind of like was like just go for it. There was some downtime early January, had a couple things kind of in law where it was like, first week of January, people are just kind of like getting back into things. And I mean, it's just stop expecting things to happen during that time. And instead of like freaking out, I was like, all right, I'm going to suck it up and we're just going to like push through. And I said, I'm going to invest some time for you to make the service reel. So you wrote out a script and basically we just highlighted all of our post-production services because, indirectly, your skills as an editor, your skills as a VFX artist, along with my post supervising skills. And like, we really kind of like indirectly, like last quarter kind of became like a little bit of a post house.
Yeah, we were mainly doing post stuff.
Yeah. And people are always like, what do you guys do? And it's like, when you talk to crew and it's like, I'm not saying crew doesn't do posts. I just think that we do a lot more posts than I think I ever like assessed compared to other people. I think a lot of crew, like they love being on set and that's their thing. And I feel like for us, it's like, we've always been so post heavy. Like since we started working together, like I'm not a great editor, but like I've always been very heavy in editing. And like, I feel like that's something that we've always like we've meshed well with. Yeah. So, I mean, we started really growing our post division last year and we really brought on some great accounts. And I think that's just like showing like evolution, and you really have to adapt to things too. It's like, what are some needs that you offer? What are things that you can offer other production companies that they may not have? And we just it started with one, then another, and we onboarded like 3 or 4 clients at the same time that all needed post VFX support. And they needed things on time, they needed things in budget, and we could deliver that. And I think that just was really cool because I love that aspect of it. I know it's stressful.
I mean, with everything, it's stressful for everything. But like overall, posts, I really enjoy posts more than like on set at times because I was just doing screen replacements. We're doing 3D for somebody else, and then we were also doing motion graphics for like footage they already shot and just kind of like taking it to another level.
Oh my God, I forgot about that 3D project.
Yeah.
Oh,
so we were like, that was all within the last few months of the year. So we were just like back to that. Plus we were shooting an ad as well.
Yeah. And I think that's like, for me, it's like, I like that momentum. I think we had a good workflow and we're excited to keep going, and obviously really thankful for the clients that trusted us to be a part of their projects and allow us to give our expertise to them and take their stuff to the next level. And some of the things we had to do were not easy. And and that kind of goes into my last thing I want to talk about on this episode. And I don't want to like go too far, and I'm not trying to whine, but it's like, dude, sometimes like this career path, it's like emotionally, like it's so draining. And it's like, I think I've always been aware of it, but like, I don't know why. It's like, just seems like even more now with a kid, I'm just like, dude, it is like a manic roller coaster. And it's like, when it's good, it's amazing. And then like, sometimes things can just go. Yeah. And then one of the things I've really had to learn is like, just trust the process. And I think like trusting the process means a few things. It means like, one, like when you've been slow, like, hey, this December I was slow, or last year I was slow in December. So maybe kind of expect like, okay, this December I'm probably going to be slow. So instead of freaking out trying to get sales in December, just realize like that's a time to regenerate, recharge, work on internal things, and prepare for next year. And then at the same time, it's like, it also just means it's just kind of like, it's just prepare for things to not always be the way you want it to be. And I don't know, it's hard. I think emotionally it was hard for me. I would say it was really hard for me this December, because I was like all year planning to not work in December. Yeah. Like work, but like not work the way I normally work. And I would say like my workload was like at an all-time high until you came back from Puerto Rico. And it wasn't even anything to do with you gone. It was just it wasn't anything to do with you being gone on PTO. It was just more like I just had clients and a demand for services that I just didn't expect to have.
No, I know. Like, my workflow was also like, because I mean, we were both expected to be slow, but I remember like, yeah, I left for Puerto Rico for a week for Christmas. You know, you kind of expected to also be able to unwind a little bit. I remember you telling me like, yeah, I didn't really stop. I just kept getting clients wanting responses and all this stuff, which it's just part of it. But like, yeah, it was not what you expected. So I'm sure it was a little.
Well, I think like it just was like when you came back, I was just like, it was weird for me because it was like I didn't like.
You didn't stop.
Well, yeah, and I think I didn't realize like that impacts your mental health and your well-being. And it's hard, man. It's like I don't know. I feel like right now I feel like I'm in this place in my career where like I love what we have as a business, as an agency. I'm very proud of it. But it's like I feel like I'm doing what I want to do, but I still like, it's just one of those situations where it's like every time I set, even though I'm doing what I want to do, there's still like pros and cons. And it's like, I'm really proud of the shift and the direction the business is going and the clientele we're getting. I'm really proud of that. But it's just, I don't think I truly was realistic in the fact that, hey, doing things that you want to do still have good times and bad times. And, getting butchered by critiques or not getting this project or not getting this project after this bid and that bid, it messes with you. And it's like, sometimes I'm just like, why can't I get what I want? Like, why can't things just be normal? And I don't know. It's like a weird thing. It's like, it's frustrating because it's like, sometimes I feel like it's never normal. It's like all or nothing. And then I get all the work and then I'm like, it's great. And then the work goes away and then I'm depressed. So when I have the work, I'm like, I'm too busy. And when I don't have the work, I'm not busy enough. So it's like, I got to find that median. I'm working on it hard. It's definitely something I'm just like reflecting on. I'm just like, dude, this is hard. And I think having a family, having a son and being around friends and family friends that, they have more traditional career paths. It's definitely like you see certain levels of consistency and you're just like, I can't relate to that. Yeah. I wish I could.
Yeah. I mean, technically we try to do a 9 to 5, but you definitely barely do that. And we're always like either way texting each other.
No,
like
you're not 9 to 5. No,
no, exactly. Like we technically try, but we're not like it's hard to relate to like
people
who have normal job.
Like, I mean, you can't be 9 to 5. I mean, you can to a degree, and I think there's parameters, but it's just like, dude, sometimes, like, I think one of the things too right now, it's like just different time zones. Yeah. It's like we're working with West Coast and then we're working with international, so there's just a lot of different time zones too. But I think that this is just the reality of this field. I think
that's what I mean. Like we tried, or like we kind of say we tried a 9 to 5, but it's just the reality of this field. As you said, we can't. Like there's times that you and I at 11 p.m. we're still like testing each other ideas, like trying to like, hey, can you send me this real quick? Yeah. Like it's just it never stops.
Well, at least you respond. Some people, I'm lucky to have a good lead guy that's like on point.
Well, listen, you take care of me, I take care of you. That's kind of how we like. That's kind of how well we work, as we know that we're take care of each other. So
no, I think that point. That's I mean, that's a very valid point. I think that's like one thing that like you have to really like it may not be like you have your core team and you really got to like, obviously you support everyone who works with you, but like your core team, you really have to take care of, because there's going to be situations that require an adaptation of like schedule or whatever, and you got to figure it out. And that's the thing. Like, I feel like we're both try to be considerate to each other.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. It's like, I don't want to sound like I was like complaining, but it's like, it is exhausting.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to get any better. I'm just being honest.
I mean, yeah, I think the busier or like the bigger projects, that if we get them in the future, yeah, it's gonna get crazier.
Because it's still like, I still have this, like, I'll do whatever. Like, I will, like, if it's the right thing, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I still have that drive in me, to a degree. But if it's like I got asked a couple months ago to go on an international trip for like 3 weeks. I declined that. And that was like the first thing was like family. That I couldn't do that one. I think you'd have more flexibility than me on that one. Yeah, it was like a 3-week trip. And I just like, I couldn't be away from my family that long.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like, my son's changing too much
I would
right
probably
now.
have to bring my wife at least a week over.
Yeah. But it's like, I think for the most part, it's like, it's one of those things where you're just kind of like, it's such a weird industry because like, you really never know when they're going to call and who's going to call.
Yeah.
And regardless of how much SEO, and if you're good at like SEO for your business and branding, the word of mouth, reputation, and referrals, they come when you don't expect it. I mean, that's kind of how most of the larger jobs are funneled through. It's you guys crushed it on this. I'm working on this. I want to work with you. And you never know when they're going to call.
Yeah. It takes a lot to be a freelancer. I mean, to an extent, I guess I don't feel it as much as you do because you're the main one. Obviously, like, you're like reaching out, getting the clients. I'm just
Oh
like,
my God, that's how it is. It's terrible.
I'm just like, all right, it's Sunday, and then I'll just wait for Dan to tell me what I'm gonna do for the week. But I know I did it for a couple of years in the beginning. I remember it was terrible. I got the weirdest jobs, but like definitely a different scale of what we are doing now. So I can't even imagine the extent. Like, obviously, you have to like to reach out and like manage clients and basically from start to finish get the project done. I've gotten involved a little bit here and there, but definitely not to the extent that you have to and keep up with people and reach out and like do more cold calls and cold emails.
Yeah, but you have to. I mean, you have to. There's a totally different department that I don't.
Yeah,
I have. Hard.
That's how I said it. Like, so like you focus on like the future, what we're doing next, and I'm focusing on like finishing what we got going on right now, and that's kind of how it works. It's
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It needs to get no. It's 100%. And I've the more I produce, the more I suck at editing. To be honest, personally, like actually editing. And it's just something I have a hard time with. I'm also enabled. I have an editor that's just somehow always able to save the day. Hey, I wasn't able to get this edit done. I always like have like a guilt call with you, and I was like supposed to do something, and
now it's that's kind of a joke I said right now. You can fix it in post, Raf. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do it, but I can.
Yeah. But no, I think it takes two. All departments are valid and are important, and you just got to keep going. And I think that's the biggest thing is like, look, it's like, does it sound emotional? A little bit, but in reality, this is just what it is like being in this production space at our level and what this size of productions we work on. And, some people may have differences. I think it depends on your clientele and your goals as a business. I've like assessed other industries, like people who do really well with talking heads and corporate stuff. And it's like, I love that field. I think it's a very high margin. It's very lucrative. But I don't know if that's like the direction I'm just going to naturally like get work in. I think that the commercial marketing, advertising, commercial, and honestly a narrative is really the direction that I'm pushing the brand to be. And I don't think it's always going to be great. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I don't know. I feel regardless of the stumps, it just kind of feels like where I'm like where like the business and the like is supposed to be. Yeah. It's a comfortable feeling. I remember I felt pretty good when I was like, we don't need to like boast about this BTS because it's like This isn't really a new thing. I don't want this to, like, it's not a big deal anymore. It's just kind of what we do now. And that's cool. That's a transitioning your business to a place, and it takes time to make that move. You know, that's how you evolve. You keep consistently trying to do what you need to do, and the type of work that you want. You keep trying to do it till eventually you have enough to where it looks like that's really all you do. Because our first ad reel sucked. It's like the same client like 4 times. It's like the shittiest reel
It's
ever.
funny. Every time we do a reel, like, you know, at the time it's good. We're happy. We love it. And I think like 6 months after, we're like, God, I hate this reel.
Yeah.
Which is good. I mean, it's called growth, I guess. It's called growth because we want to, like, we keep getting better. We keep wanting to do more and like bigger things. So,
But also, it's like I've noticed less clients are asking me for my reel, and they want to see an example of the relevant productions. So I guess that's kind of why I've invested a little less in reels lately, our last 2 years, because I don't know. Like I think they have a purpose, no question. But it's like, I think for me, sending an edit that's like, hey, this is kind of like what you want.
yeah, this is the final product. I think that makes more sense.
Yeah.
But even if not the full reels, I think at least the service reel and the specific category reels we've done, because we've done reel for only commercial,
Yeah.
only corporate, only fitness. I think that's more valuable than just doing an overall reel of like all the pretty shots you got.
Yeah. Shot of the wheat field.
Yeah, we feel.
Yeah.
We've all done that one.
Yeah. But anyways, I think that's good for today, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching The Creative Producer. You know, if you actually listen to this length of the upload, that's amazing. I doubt you did. But thanks so much for watching, and make sure you subscribe. We have also really tapped into like our niche, I think, our community on YouTube right now. And it really is like cool to see like the cinematographers, the producers that are connecting with us through our YouTube. So thank you, and excited to watch more of the content you guys are making, and also excited to share more of our YouTube, because we got some stuff coming up. I'm really excited about more reviews, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
That's funny.
Bye.